Today's session, the first session will be taken by me. My name is Mukul Lamba, and I am founder of a startup Bizz Gyaan, which is working in financial and startup literacy. And currently, education-wise, I am pursuing chartered accountancy and company secretary. So I am in final level of that course. And in today's session, we will be discussing about that what are startups, how is startup ecosystem evolving in India, how to get the DPIIT startup registration, and in the later part, CA Manoj Lamba sir will guide you about the seed fund capital application, that how to apply for seed fund. So firstly, I would request you all to kindly introduce about yourself in the chat section so that we can get a fair idea about the audience and we can adjust the session and discussion according to the tune of the audience. So kindly request you all to firstly introduce yourself in the chat section, and in a meanwhile we are beginning with the session. So Arvind Rajaji is tax consultant for Tamil Nadu. Welcome Arvind ji to today's session. Kindly introduce yourself so that we can interact better during the session. In the next 1.5 hours, it is necessary to know the audience better so that we can communicate our message according to the audience type. Chayanti Kumar is a chartered accountant from Tamil Nadu. Okay. Be smart trainer for Tamil Nadu. So majority the audience is from Tamil Nadu only, I think. So okay, it will be great interacting with you all. So let's begin today's session. So firstly, talking about startup India registration. Firstly, what is a startup? In today's decade, the startup has become a kind of a buzzword. Every newspaper, every article, social media is talking about startups. After the premiere of the show Shark Tank India, this term has grown widely, and even now everyone is trying to explore that what is a startup business? How is a startup business different from an MSME business? So in today's section, we will decode about this mysteries regarding to the startup. So DK Agarwal sir is a chartered accountant from Chhattisgarh. Welcome sir to today's session. And Mahesh Pili is also a chartered accountant. So it is a mix of chartered accountants and other professionals in the same field. So it will be a great interaction session with all of you. So let's begin. So starting the discussion, firstly, we will discuss about the startup definition, that what is the legal definition, which companies, which entities are regarded as the startup in the eyes of government of India. So let's begin. So what is a startup company? So to find out that whether a company is a startup company or not, we need to check out the 5 conditions. The first condition being the company type. It should be incorporated as a private limited company, registered LLP, registered partnership firm, or an LLP. So for an startup India application, firstly, the entity should be private limited company or an LLP or registered partnership firm. Kindly note that sole proprietorship and unregistered partnership firms are not allowed for Startup India registration. So firstly, check that your client, the entity for which you are taking the Startup India registration, is a private limited company or an LLP or a registered partnership firm. So this is the first condition you need to keep in mind. See this, all the 5 conditions need to be fulfilled. Not that you fulfill a single condition for the registration purpose. This whole of the 5 conditions need to be fulfilled. Then only you can apply for the Startup India registration. Next is the company age. The period of existence and operation should be not exceeding 10 years from the date of incorporation. Means it should be a new company, not an old company. It should not exceed 10 years from the date of incorporation. Means a company incorporated before 2004, 2014 in today's, talking about in today's term, 2024 is going on. So before 10 years, that is 2014, before 2014 incorporated companies or entities cannot apply for Startup India registration. So in simple language, it should be incorporated after 2014 for Startup India registration purpose. Next, the most important condition is the annual turnover in the period you are seeking the registration, it should not exceed 100 crore for any of the financial year since its incorporation. So suppose you are incorporated in 2016 and today you wish to apply for Startup India registration. So in any of the years starting from 2016, your turnover should not exceed more than 100 crore. So three are the basic conditions, that it should be a private limited company, registered partnership, LLP, should not exceed 10 years from date of incorporation its life, and the turnover in any of the financial years from the date of incorporation should not exceed 100 crore for that financial year. Means it is for the particular financial year, it should not exceed 100 crores. And the fourth condition, that is the original entity. This is basically included for the bigger giants like Tata's, Ambani's, Adani's, so that they do not take the startup benefits for their subsidiaries or by splitting or reconstruction of their companies. So the entity which is taking the registration should be a fresh company. It should not be formed by splitting up or reconstruction of an already existing business. Suppose Mr. Ambani is having the company Geo and it demerged from the Reliance Industries as Geo Financial Services. So that Geo Financial Services, that is formed as a result of splitting up from an company which is already in existence. So it cannot be regarded as a startup business. Now going on to the fifth condition, that is the most important for an startup business, that differentiate basically a MSME business and a startup business. We see that, taking an example of Lenskart, there is a small shop in our locality for say Gupta's Opticals or Sharma Opticals. They are having only one store in the city or having one or two stores in basically in the area of their operations. But talking about Lenskart, which is a startup, they are having stores all over India and even in abroad. You will be finding a store even in Chandigarh, in Telangana, in Tamil Nadu, in Gujarat, in Delhi. So from Kanyakumari to Kashmir, they are having stores all over the India. And that is the definition of scalability. A small Sharma optical store is situated only in particular part of the country. But talking about the Lenskart is on the model of innovation and scalability. So the company willing to take the registration for startups should be working towards innovation and scalability. Currently, Lenskart is not only selling the spectacles, it is continuously researching on making the frames lighter, to making the lenses more, that it do not pass on the blue rays, it is UV friendly. So continuously they are improving on the technology also. So this is the basic differentiation between an existing MSME business and a startup, that it is innovative and scalable. So the fifth condition and the most important one that should be met is the startup should be working towards development and improvement of a product, service, or having a scalable business model. So they define scalable as, what is the meaning of scalable? Scalable means high potential for wealth creation and employment generation. Startup should be able to create employment opportunities. When we will be filling the form for startup registration, in that form they ask whether your startup is scalable, whether it is having the potential to generate wealth and create employment opportunities. So for a business to be an eligible startup, it should create employment opportunities and should be innovative and scalable. So when all these five conditions are satisfied, you are eligible to apply for the Startup India scheme under DPIIT registration. So there is one query in the chat. Can I update my form as a private limited company and register it as startup, and so that my vintage will be preserved? Yes, sir, you can incorporate it as private limited company or LLP and then apply for the Startup India registration. Your existing firm can be converted into private limited company or LLP and then it can be applied under Startup India scheme. So kindly note that these five conditions need to be fulfilled for an Startup India registration compliance. So before beginning further, if anybody is having doubt regarding these 5 conditions, then you can ask in the chat section. 2 points I want to clarify is that even if you are having an OPC, that is one person company, then also it can be applied for the Startup India registration, because OPC is regarded as a private limited company with a single member under the Companies Act 2013. So OPC can also be regarded as a startup under Startup India scheme, and it should fulfill all the other 4 conditions also. And talking about the holding or subsidiary company, if you are a holding company or if you are a subsidiary, then you cannot apply for the Startup India registration. Make a note of this point that OPC can be applied for the Startup India registration, but if you are a holding company or a subsidiary of a holding company, then you cannot get the Startup India registration. On the date you become a subsidiary of a company, on that date it ceases to have a Startup India registration. So these were the basic 5 conditions. Once have a look at it, and if you have any doubt, you can ask in the chat section. I am here waiting for 30 seconds to once have a look at this slide. And if any doubt is there, you can write in the chat section. So once have a look at this slide. Only can existence company apply, or yet to be incorporated company also apply DPIIT? Sir, once you are having an sin, you have been incorporated, then only you can apply. Once you get the corporate identification number, then only you can apply under DPIIT or LLP identification number, then only you can apply. What NRI investment more than 49%? No, sir, the condition is that your promoter holding should exceed 51%. We will see in the form when we will fill in. There is a condition that Indian ownership of the participant should be more than 51%. We will see that point. I will tell you then. When we will be applying, there is a specific condition. They acknowledge that holding is more than a specified percentage. We will see there when I tell you the registration process. So I think there are no more queries. So we shall begin further. So why government is promoting startups? Why startups? So basically talking about the discussion, everyone might be aware that startups boost entrepreneurship. It creates job providers rather than job seekers. The economic development and growth occurs. It boosts up the banking sector and the finance sector. Automatically, the gross domestic production of an economy increases, and overall growth and development leads to employment opportunities, and people provide the jobs rather than seeking the jobs. So government burden to provide jobs is reduced, thus promoting the entrepreneurship spirit, and generation of more and more employment opportunities for the youth of country is there. So that's why government is keen to promote the startup ecosystem in India. And for this purpose only, back in 2015, our honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji launched the Startup India scheme from the Red Fort, addressing the gathering on 15th of August on our Independence Day. So the Startup India scheme was launched by our Honorable PM Narendra Modi ji on 15th August 2015 for this mission only, that to create a strong ecosystem that nurtures innovation and startup in our country, that drives the sustainable economic development, because whole of the economy cannot be driven by government. It has to be driven by the private players, and the innovative ideas have to be taken forward by the youth, so that they provide the jobs to the upcoming generations and the upcoming talented skillful youth, and even employ the outsiders, the foreign personals there also. So this is the mission of the government, that the Startup India should be promoted. And I am very happy and proud to say that today India ranks number 3 in the overall startup ranking, and soon it will surpass the other 2 countries ahead of it, that is China and USA. And we are already ahead of Great Britain, which ruled us over 200 years, and we have overcome them in just 5 to 6 years after the Startup India scheme, after the full mission. And today, more than 1,50,000 entities are already registered under Startup India scheme and having the benefits of the Startup India scheme. So further, we will see how to apply for it. There is one question. What about the other countries above India, sir? Yes, they are USA and China, and soon we are progressing towards them, and soon we'll overcome them, because currently government is very actively providing this registration under Startup India scheme, and many of the benefits are also provided, like seed fund benefit, like you see 80 IAC taxation benefit, that will be further discussed by Lamba sir in further session. So now talking about the Startup India scheme registration. So the department which provide the Startup India scheme is under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. So this is the pattern I have created, that firstly the control is by Bharat Sarkar, Government of India, and further it has decentralized the powers to Ministry of Commerce and Industry, and Ministry of Commerce and Industry have specifically created a department, that is DPIIT. Full form is Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, which is a department under Ministry of Commerce and Industry. So DPIIT is basically a centrally government department under Ministry of Commerce and Industry. It is basically responsible for formulation of promotion and development measures of growth of industrial sector in India. So it was basically established back in year 1995, and it was reconstituted in 2000 with merger of Department of Industrial Development. The department was earlier called Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion, and was renamed. It was renamed in 2019 January as DPIIT. So DPIIT basically is mandated to coordinate the implementation of Startup India initiative with other government departments. So whole of the Startup India application, scrutiny of the applications, the providing of certificate of Startup India application is done by DPIIT. So DPIIT is basically the concerned department for all of the queries and scrutiny or application matters regarding to Startup India. So now going on further. So this we have discussed that Startup India scheme, and basically 16th January was the day when action plan for Startup India, that is 16 January 2016 was the day when action plan for Startup India was unveiled by Prime Minister of India, that is Shri Narendra Modi ji. And from that day, 16th January every year is celebrated in India as the National Startup Day. So 16th January every year is celebrated as the National Startup Day by India. So now this was an overall basic discussion about Startup India and the growing ecosystem of startups in India, and what are the conditions fulfilled for the Startup India registration. So this is basically some data. So you see that currently 1,54,357 startups are there which are recognized by government, and the tax exemption have been provided to 3,604 startup, that is tax benefit under section 80 IAC of Income Tax Act. And currently more than 7,50,000 participants are already registered on Startup India Hub. So this is in progress of last 7 to 8 years only. So we are continuously increasing, and the ecosystem in India is continuously developing. So I have attached a screenshot of our own company, which is an Startup India recognized company. So you can have a look at the certificate, that how it is there. So it is given by the Startup India, and it is basically provided for DPIIT, as I told. This is a unique certification number that is there. This is the entity name, and this is the formation. This is the date of incorporation basically. And you see the incorporation date is 6/6/2022, and the certificate is valid up to 5/6/2032, exactly 10 years from the date of incorporation. So from the date of incorporation, it is valid up to 10 years. It was issued on this 7 July 2022. This is the category in which your startup is working, which is to be selected while applying for the Startup India registration. And see, this line is also written here. This certificate shall only be valid for the entity up to 10 years from the date of incorporation, only if its turnover for any of the financial year has not extended 100 crore. Means for Bizz Gyaan Private Limited, it the turnover for the entity should be below 100 crore for each of the financial year till 2032. Means if in any of the year the turnover exceeds above 100 crore, from that day only all the benefits eligible for a startup business will get seized and the application will get void ab initio. None of the benefits will be available from the date when even one of the condition is violated. So this is basically the certificate that we get after applying for the Startup India registration. So now we will learn about the process that how to apply for the Startup India registration. So government has basically created a separate website for the Startup India compliances and all of the initiative and benefits under Startup India. That is startupindia.gov.in. Earlier, the registration also used to be done on this portal only, but after the initiation of NSW, that is, government has created a national single window system where all the compliances of central government and various ministries can be obtained from that single portal. So now government has shifted the Startup India registration compliance also to that portal. That is this website I have mentioned here. We will learn the process on this website only. So I have mentioned a snapshot of the website and also mentioned the address in the PPT for your reference. That is www.nsws.gov.in. That is National Single Window System. Now the Startup India registration has also been shifted onto this website. Now I will be taking you to on this website and I will be logging the details of one of my clients of Startup India registration, and through that I will be telling you about whole of the process, that how to apply for that application. So let's proceed to this website and learn how to apply for Startup India registration. Please explain meaning of innovation and scalability in Startup India means concept. So basically scalability means the level of operation. Like I told you with an example that there is a small pizza shop that remains only in the particular corner of the city. But talking about Domino's, Pizza Hut, or Burger King, they are present in all of the world. Even you go to China, Vietnam, Thailand, India, Sri Lanka, you will find the outlets of Domino's and Burger King. But talking about the Gupta Burger Center, that only lies in the remotest part of the country. So that is the meaning of scalability, that the business operations are expanded all over the world. You name the store, you name the brand, and the identification can be done all over the world. Today, the whole over the world knows about the Domino's, Burger King, or the KFC brands. And talking about the innovation, innovation means doing something new. Like there were the delivery channels already present when the Flipkart firstly announced cash on delivery. The Indian customer basically wanted that they pay when they receive. So the Flipkart introduced cash on delivery model in India. In world, there was no concept of cash on delivery. You have to pay first and then goods delivered to your address. But when Flipkart entered into Indian market, when they launched Flipkart in India, they knew that Indian customer is the of the mindset that when goods are in its hands, then only he wants to pay. So that was an innovation in the existing process. So innovation does not mean that you have to do something new always, because a small improvement in the process also can be termed as innovation. Like the home delivery for the groceries was already there, but what Zapto, Blinkit, and Swiggy, Instamart did, they introduced the 10-minute delivery concept. So that was basically an improvement because customer instantly wanted the groceries at their home step. So that was basically the innovation they did. There are many more examples we can take for the innovation, but due to shortage of time and many would be wanting to learn the Startup India registration, which is the main theme of the topic of today's discussion. So now I proceed to this website, which is this National Single Window System of Government of India. So firstly, the website is visible to all. Kindly once write in chat section, and till now the discussion is clear. And if you want to ask something, then you can ask also, and also tell whether the website is visible. Then we can start the procedure. Arvinji is saying yes. And till now the discussion is clear. If you have any query or you want to discuss something, then also you can write in the chat section. Okay, I think there are no more queries. So let's proceed to the Startup India registration compliance. So firstly, you need to create an account like any other website. Like we click here on the login button. There are two options: business user login or ministry officer login. That is basically for the government officials. We need to go to the business user login. You click on the business user login. They will basically ask about the sign in, about your basically email id and password. And if you are first time user, you need to create the account from here, the sign up option. So basic details, full name, email, mobile number and password is to be entered here, and you can create your login account on this page. So I have already created a login account. So let me first login. So I have logged in the portal. Yes. So after login, they basically ask the details of the company or the entity for which you want to take the registration. So I have already entered the SIN number for this entity because it asks for the PAN verification through DSC signature. So I have already done that process, and this entity SIN number has been added. So this is the company I select on. So basically it will redirect to the dashboard, and here you have to complete the profile first. Like here you need to enter the company name first, the SIN number. So basically when you enter the SIN number, it automatically fetches the data from the MCA portal, from the master data available on the MCA database. So when you enter the SIN number, it automatically fetches the data, and company's name is there, and it automatically fetches it in private limited company and incorporated on specific date. Yes, a specific class 3 DCFC needed, sir. A specific signature is needed here in this case, a special signature that is mentioning of the entity and the director details. Special signature is needed for this Startup India portal. So here is the name of the company, it automatically fetches. Then you need to enter the postal details and registered address of the company, and then the director details are to be added with the DIN number and date of birth. So it automatically verifies it from the MCA portal that all the details are correct, and it gets approved automatically. And here I am talking about that signature. You need to enter the details of an authorized signatory, that is basically the managing director or CEO of the company who is authorized for all the transaction and functions. So you enter the details of the authorized signatory here, and after entering basic details, you need to click on the validate button, and after that it will take you onto the DSC portal where you need to apply the digital signature of your client, and after adding the password it will get automatically verified, and your registration process is basically complete. After it is complete, after the registration process is complete, you need to go on to the dashboard option. This is in the my dashboard. When you click on the my dashboard option, click here on the add more approval button. When I click on the add more approval, it asks that from which government I need to take the approval. So as I told, that is from the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. So central government, I have to search the approval, that is Startup it is coming Ministry of Commerce and Industry, registration as a startup. So I need to click on view details and I need to click on add to dashboard. After clicking on startup registration, this is page is opening and I need to click on add to dashboard. So you can also check that here all the details that who can apply. We have discussed all these conditions. It should be private limited company, registered partnership firm, LLP, 100 crore turnover condition, 10-year, all the innovation and wealth creation. So these are the conditions that same mentioned here. So click on this add to dashboard option. So it is showing that license already added in the card because I have already applied for this registration. I have already added to my dashboard. So for the first time, you can go here to the dashboard option and write startup and then add to your dashboard. So I have already added. So I will go on to my dashboard now, clicking on the dashboard, my dashboard option. So here you will find registration as startup and then there will be a button that is apply now. So I need to click on this button apply now. So firstly, it will ask about the startup profile, that is the company logo. So firstly, before starting startup in India registration, make sure to bring the company's or entity logo for which you are applying, and it will get uploaded in JPG or PNG format here. So you need to select the company logo and browse file and attach the company's logo. Then it asks about the basic detail about the startup, that what is the basic object of the startup, in which industry it is dealing. Basically, the company for which I am applying is manufacturing and production of electrical equipments, automotive components. So basically details of that are filled here. Next is asked about the mobile application. If the startup is a service-based application or operating through a mobile app, then the link of Google Play Store or Apple Store need to be filled here for mobile application purpose. And if you are having a website, so the same link need to be placed here. Next is the Udyog Aadhaar or the Udyam registration. If you are having the Udyam MSME registration, the number of the same need to be placed in the application. And here it asks about the interested areas. If you are interested in investors, mentors, other startups, incubator, accelerator, because there are many of the facilities or the options available in the Startup India portal that you can connect with the fellow startups, or the mentors are there in the startup portal. There is a specific section of mark, that is mentorship assess. On the Startup in India portal, the startups can get mentorship from various of the mentors present here. Like Lambasar is also an registered mentor on Startup India website who is helping various of the startups there. So here startups need to select that they are also interested in mentors, so that various options can be enabled in their Startup India portal. So we have selected of all that we are interested in all of the services available there. And after this, we agree to the terms of the portal. Then coming on to the entity details, it is automatically fetching. See that it is a private limited company. So if your company is in partnership or an unregistered partnership firm, it will not allow you to progress further. So it has automatically fetched from MCA portal that it is a private limited company. The industry and sector we need to select that in which industry it is working. Like there are so many sectors as you can see. So we can select the industry in which our startup is working. The sector we need to select that in which sector our startup is working. The categories, like it is a manufacturing category, offline category, or it is into the marketplace like Amazon, Flipkart, Snapdeal, or through an online aggregator like Zomato, Swiggy. So we need to select that in which category it will be operating. So it has automatically fetched the SIN number from the profile section. We need to only fill once about the SIN number, and all of the details automatically get fetched from the MCA portal. And in the application also, automatically it is coming from the profile section. The SIN details, nature of entity, registration date, PAN details, all the details are automatically coming. Do we have category for EdTech sector? Yes, sir. EdTech category is also there. You can find here education and e-learning. So same EdTech category is also there here. So after filling this basic details, the address need to be filled about the registered address of the company or the entity you are filling, the authorized representative details. So here make a note that in case of an OPC company, same person can be authorized representative and director of the company because there is only a single member. So same person can act as an authorized representative and can authorize himself to act as an authorized partner, authorized representative. But in case of a private limited company having two directors, one needs to act as an authorized representative and same cannot authorize itself. The another director of the company needs to authorize the other person. Means if there are two directors, one can act as an authorized representative and other needs to make him the authorized representative. There is a specific letter format that I will show you at the last. It need to be attached, that how that letter is to be created. So here the details of that authorized representative is filled. The email and mobile number are verified through OTP, and then all of the details of directors are mentioned with TIN number and their mobile numbers and address. The detail of directors are mentioned here, and then the details of the employees present in the company, including founders, I have to be filled here. Here it asks for the stage, that is ideation, validation, early traction, or stage. So these are basically the startup cycle. In the detailed 7-day master course, we are having also a 7 days master course. We will soon plan with tech scan of that course also. So in that course, we discuss about a single day on which stages of startup, that is the startup age cycle, in which the first stage is the ideation stage, where idea is thought, that on which idea we want to work. Then validating that idea, that whether my idea has a scalable market sector, whether the total addressable market is there, we call it as TAM, whether the total addressable market is there. Early traction means the result we are getting, means the idea is finalized, the market to which we are targeting is finalized, and our response, our revenue is starting to get generated. And then scaling is we are growing. So this is basically the stage in which you are, which have to be selected according to the startup age cycle. So we select the ideation stage here, and then it asks whether it has applied for any intellectual property rights, patents, trademark, copyright, design, or patent. So if I select yes, it asks for the detail of your patents, trademarks, and copyright. So there is no IPR for this startup, so I select no. Now going on to the startup, there it asks define the nature of your startup. That is the fifth eligibility criteria. So it asks innovation and scalable, only innovative, only scalable. So we have selected innovation and scalable. It is capable of generating wealth and employment opportunities, and we are something innovating also. So basically innovation here does not mean that we are creating something new. Even an improvement in an existing process, like I told you through various example of Blinkit, Lenskart, that also leads to innovation. So it asks whether your product is an improvement or innovation. So basically our startup is working in this improvement area, and after this it is asking whether the startup is having a scalable business model with high potential of employment generation or wealth creation. Here we have to select yes, because it is one of the major eligibility criteria. We select that yes, our startup is employment generation and wealth creation. So here you have to write about in about 100 to 150 words that how your startup is innovation. And earlier you have tick mark that our startup is working in innovation and employment generation, but here you have to give a note that how it is working. You have to basically explain your business model and your innovative factor, and basically USP we call it in startup terms. What is your unique selling proportion? How you are different from the already present players in the market. In the next question, you have to write about the funding, if any, you have received. So if any kind of funding, if you have received through grant of government scheme, seed fund you have received, or any angel investor or venture capital fund you have received, so that details need to be filled here. Then any kind of awards that you have won, that needs to be filled here. Like there are startup awards every year. The Startup India awards the innovative startups in each of the categories. So if you have got any of that award, you have to mention here. Then basically these 4 to 5 questions are important, on the basis of which the DPIIT have a look that in which category and which problem solving area you are working. It basically asks about the problem the startup is solving. So here in this option you have to address that which is the problem your startup is solving. Basically the startups are based on an ideology of problem and solution fit. Every startup you see is working on some kind of a problem, and the solution they are providing is their business model. So what is the problem you are trying to solve your startup? What is the purpose? How does the startup purpose to solve that problem? So propose to solve that problem. That what is your innovative business model that through which you are solving the problem of the customers, that will be your prospective as well as your existing customers. What is the uniqueness that I told, that what is the USP of your startup? How does the startup generate revenue? So these are the basically 4 questions you can answer. So we have one question, sir. Can you tell us some example of improved startup company? Yes, I have told already about Blinkits, and other example I have given. Is long-term debt a funding? Yes, you can mention in the details. Like we see, if we select yes, it asks about proof of funding. So if you have even got long-term debt as funding, you can mention that documents of the term sheet you have signed with the investor. So you can mention here in the PDF and write that we have got this kind of funding in the document PDF. So you can mention also that, no problem in that. So these 4 are the basic questions that need to be answered before progressing further. Then it asks for the website link, videos, pitch deck or other. So if you want to make your application strong, you can attach the pitch deck or the website or kind of a video. Like if you are having any kind of a product which needs physical demonstration, so you can make a small 2 to 3 minute video and place in here, so that the department can get an idea that what is your service or kind of product. If you have a service based business, then a small 2 to 3 minutes of working of your website or application can be given here. Next is the various links. If any other link you want to provide, like existing pitch you have given, or if any kind of your business has been featured onto any kind of digital print media or any newspaper, then also you can mention the same in this link. Then you need to self-certify. Firstly, you need to attach the certificate of incorporation, and here you need to attach the incorporation letter that I was talking about. So I will be showing you a sample format of this authorization letter. You can download from this button given here. So this is the sample letter format. You cannot change this format and you have to fill as it is this format. And here you address it to the Startup India section, DPIIT, Ministry of Commerce and Industry. So you are addressing it to Startup India section of DPIIT. As I told that DPIIT is responsible for managing Startup India scheme benefits and applications. So you address it to Startup India and you have to authorize basically the director who will be handling all of the affairs. And note that in case of a private limited company having 2 directors, a director cannot authorize himself. But in case of OPC, you can see here it is written here. The letter of authorization cannot be signed by person nominated by the entity. It should be signed by another person from the entity as given in the prescribed format. Only in case of an OPC, the director should authorize themselves. So in case of OPC, the director can authorize himself. But in case of a private limited company, the director who is an authorized representative cannot nominate itself. It has to be nominated by other directors in the company. So this is the basic format of the authorization letter you have to create on the letterhead of the entity. So after creating this and attaching the one of the government ID, that can be PAN card or Aadhaar card, you can attach this document here, and then you have to self-certify these points. So see the first point that says it, I certify that our entity, the startup has not been incorporated for more than 10 years. That the condition number 1, that it has not been incorporated for more than 10 years. Turnover of the entity of any of the financial year does not exceed 100 crores, and the other conditions you need to self-certify. Then the 10-year condition is there. I certify turnover of any of the financial year does not exceed 100 crore. This is second condition. Then the third condition is there. The splitting up of reconstruction is there. Then there is a condition that it is not formed due to the compromise or arrangement under Companies Act. So basically the idea is it should be a fresh company. It should not be formed under insolvency, bankruptcy, or compromise arrangement with debtor creditors, or a splitting up of reconstruction. So it should be a fresh idea, a newborn baby like company. It should be an innovative and a fresh company that is seeking the registration. It should not be result of an merger, acquisition, or split up from an existing big company. And you also need to certify that entity is neither incorporated, registered as a subsidiary of any Indian or foreign entity, nor it is incorporated as a holding company. So I told you that it should neither be a subsidiary company or a holding company. Then you need to certify that entity is not formed by joint venture. Entity should not be formed by joint venture. It should not be a JV. JV cannot also be registered as startup business. The company is not incorporated outside Indian territory, so it should be a company incorporated under Companies Act 2013, and it should be incorporated in Indian territory. And then the condition one participant was also asking, I certify that shareholding by an Indian promoter, that is Indian promoter in the startup, is at least 51% as per Companies Act 2013 and SEBI ICDR regulations. So the Indian promoters should have at least 51% shareholding in the company. So if your Indian promoter is having less than 51%, then it will not be eligible to get Startup India registration. The Indian promoter should have at least 51% shareholding in the company. So the maximum that non-resident can hold is up to 49%, not more than 49%. One was asking that more than 49% allowed. No, only up to 49% allowed, and at least 51% should be by Indian promoters. So this is the condition you need to keep in mind. Then you need to certify that I have not done the similar activities with other name. That these are basic conditions. You need to certify that illegal activities are not done. I certify that entity was neither established as sole proprietor nor has changed type of entity. So these are the basic conditions you need to tick mark. The first few which discussed are of the most importance. And here you have to then also know that it is not an resultant due to demerger and all. So basic, this is the declarations you need to give, and then final declaration you need to give that you have adhered to all the formalities, and then after this you need to review and submit your application. So this was the basic process. After review and submit, you can submit the application. No government fees is there for Startup India registration. After this review and submit button, you do not need to pay a single penny. After this, in 1 or 2 days, your application will get scrutinized and the certificate will be available on this portal only, and also will be available on the email ID provided in the application. So this was the basic procedure to apply for the Startup India registration. Explain JV, sir. JV means a joint venture, sir, in which two or more companies together form a special SPV company, that is special purpose vehicle company, to do an business. Like you can take an example of any of the companies in which two companies jointly do a business. So it should not be a JV company. It should be a fresh company, I told you. JV joint venture companies are not eligible for startup business. Like suppose Reliance one company come forward, and like to recently there was a JV between Hotstar and Geo Cinema. Now it has been acquired, but suppose Geo Hotstar is there and they come to forward and new company and say we are a startup, then they are not eligible for startup business. It should be a fresh and a new company, not a JV, merger, split off, or any kind of that company. It should be a fresh and basic new company. So these are basic the procedure and criteria to apply for startup registration. So this was all for the Startup India registration. If you have any queries, you can write in the chat section, and further the seed fund application will be taken by CA Manoj Lamba sir. And in meanwhile you have any queries, I am available here. You can write in the chat section, we can take it in the end, or I have 1 minute meanwhile sir is joining, you can then also ask. So this was the whole process for Startup India compliance registration. Will we be still eligible to apply for government tenders with same eligibility with the NRI involvement including available loans? Yes, sir, in further case to case basis, fees based consultancy available. Yes, the consultancy fees can be charged by the entity that is applying for on basis of you, but government fees is not there any kind of. Consultancy fee can be charged by the consultant. You can charge your client on the basis of consultancy, or consultancy fee can be charged by you, but government fee is not there. So Arvind ji question is then will we be still eligible to apply for government tenders? So for government tenders, we need to see the eligibility criteria for that specific tender. It has nothing to do with Startup India registration. Meanwhile, if you are having Startup India registration in public procurement, there are certain benefits also available to startups. So this is nothing to do with that criteria. For tender, you need to see the eligibility of that tender. Startup India registration has nothing to do with any kind of restriction or tenders of NRI involvement. For Startup India registration, Indian promoter should have at least 51% in the company. So this is the basic criteria. For other, you need to see the criteria for that tender or the application you are applying for. So I hand over the deliberation as less time to CM Manoj Lamba sir. I am present here only. If any doubt remains, we'll take at the end of the session. So thank you everyone for this listening, kind listening and discussing actively with me on chat section, whether MSME and startup India registration. No, no, sir. MSME registration is totally separate. It is Udyam registration. And Startup India registration is provided by DPWIT that we learned today. MSME registration is totally separate. That is Udyam registration. And Startup India registration is totally separate from that. Both the certifications are also different. And a startup registration and MSME registration both can be availed by an entity. No problem in that. A company or a entity having MSME registration can also apply for startup, and startup registration also ask for the Udyam certificate itself only. In startup registration, you saw that it asked for the Udyam registration. So totally both are different registrations, not linkage of anything. Benefits are also different for both the schemes. Good session. Thank you, sir, for the remark. So now I hand over the session to CM Manoj Lamba, sir, for seed fund discussion. Over to you, sir.
Thanks a lot, Mukul, and a very good evening to all my dear friends attending this special master class on Startup India scheme and Startup India seed fund. Before I start my deliberation, I think every participant who is attending this webinar can get the idea how to go for that. Before I start my deliberation on seed fund, I want to answer the query raised by Sir Rajkumar Agarwal ji. Can you provide consulting on this? Yes, we are providing consulting for this. You can contact on our mail ID bizgyaan@gmail.com. Anytime we can discuss there on case to case basis what are the consultancy charges. We are providing consultancy for the same. Friends, now moving further, I am sharing my screen with you, just with me. Friends, please tell in the chat box whether my screen is visible. Please update me whether my screen is visible. Okay, okay, Mukul.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Now, after DPIIT registration, the government has started a very good scheme for providing seed fund for basic capital to the startup, for providing basic capital to the startup. So in this next 30-minute session, we will discuss how the DPIIT register can go for this seed fund scheme. So friends, this Startup India Seed Fund Scheme, which in short is called SISFS, is the flagship initiative launched by the Government of India to nurture and bolster early stage startup, meaning thereby it is a very early stage funding from the government to just nurture the startup so that recognizing the crucial need of seed funding to bridge the gap between the innovative ideas and market ready product, this scheme is designed to provide the initial push-up startup need for the proof of concept, prototype development, product trails, commercialization. And this service is also administered by the same department, that is the DPIAT. Now the question arises, what is the amount of funding? What is the amount of funding? Very important, my dear friend. This scheme offers financial assistance up to rupees 50 lakhs to startup, which is DPIIT registered startup, which the Mukul has told you. Up to 50 lakhs. This burst through eligible incubator. The two things has to be noted here. First, it is not 50 lakh for all. It is up to 50 lakh. Someone may get 5 lakh, some may get 20 lakh, some may get 50 lakh, and someone get refusal of application also. And this funds, this scheme is administered through only eligible incubators. Who is this incubators? Incubators are the entities registered with the DPIAT to administrate the scheme of this seed fund. The funding is categorized into the two categories. Number one, first one is prototype development and proof of concept. If you are working on some new idea, and you want to develop some prototype of your new product or new service, then for innovative startup which are recognized by the government and whose application is accepted by the ministry, can provided grant up to rupees 20 lakhs. Please note, my dear friend, it is grant, not loan. And there is a thin line distinction between grant and loan. Loan has to be repaid back, but grant has never to be paid back. Friends, the important difference has to be taken care. This is the assistance from the government to the newly set up startup, which is never returnable. Mean the government is supporting you to come into the startup world and explore the new opportunities in this entrepreneurship world. If you say this 20 lakh is not sufficient for me, I need further funding, I need further money, then for the purpose of commercialization, of the product, government will provide 30 lakh more. But now this time, the additional 30 lakh is to be provided either in the form of debt or convertible debenture. This further 30 lakh has to be returned back, my dear friend. So this particular seed fund scheme is bifurcated into two parts. First 20 lakhs, no need to return. Another 30 lakh has to be returned because it is in the form of loan or convertible debenture. So this is the key scheme of seed fund. Any question till this point you can ask me. Then what are the eligible criteria? who can go for this seed fund scheme? First, the startup must be DPIIT recognized. Until, as told by the Mukul, you have approval from DPIT and having a valid certificate from DPIT of startup registration, only then you can apply for this seed fund. Until or unless you are not DPIIT registered, you are not recognized as a startup, you cannot go for this seed fund prescribed by the Government of India. Furthermore, and incorporated not more than 2 years prior to the application. This point is to be noted, my dear friends. If your if your company is 2 years old or more than 2 years old, suppose your company is incorporated in 21 and you have still not applied for this seed fund, you lose the eligibility criteria. You have lost the opportunity. Getting my point? The first very important condition, you must have been DPIIT registration and incorporated not more than 2 years prior to the date of application. Another very important condition, your startup product or service must be innovative. The business idea must involve in developing a new innovative product or service or improvement of a additional product or service or business model with significant market potential and scalability, as already discussed by Mr. Mukul. Then you are providing some technology-based solution. Preference, there is no hard and fast condition for that, but preference is given to only those startups which are using technology as a core component in their services or process. Then sectoral focus. Sectoral focus means the startup which are focusing on creating social impact, creating healthcare facility, developing agriculture, creating financial inclusion, creating awareness in the field of biotechnology, innovation in energy field, doing some kind of waste management facility, and mobility and education are prioritized. These are the some sectoral focus where the government is paying attention. They are providing this seed fund only to the sector which are working in these domains. Moving further, other condition, last fifth condition is also very important, my dear friend. Startup must not have received more than 10 lakhs in funding from any central or state government scheme for the same purpose. Getting my point? If you have received certain grant from some state, central or state government other than the seed fund scheme, then you are automatically outside the purview of this scheme. Meaning thereby, you cannot get other subsidy more than 10 lakhs before going for this seed fund scheme. Now, as tell you in beginning, this scheme is administrated, this fund is disbursed through incubators. Now, who can become the incubator? This is another opportunity for educational institution, universities, IIT, IIM. All IITs, IIMs, universities, school, colleges can register themselves as an incubator with the Government of India and disburse these funds to eligible startups as approved by DPIIT, Government of India. So what are the conditions to become the incubator? Condition number 1, it must be a registered legal entity in India and operation for at least 2 years. First condition is you must be a legal entity. What is a legal entity? Either you can a society registered under Society Registration Act, either you can get trust registration, trust registered under Trust Act, either you can incorporate it as Section 8 company under the Companies Act 1956 or Company Act 2003, but you must be in a register from last 2 years. That means the word legal entity in India. If your entity is incorporated outside India, you cannot become the incubator. For becoming the incubator, government recognized incubator, you must be registered entity and registered as a legal entity, and that legal entity must be situated or incorporated in India and for operation for last 2 years. And second very important condition, why I use the word all colleges, universities, IIT, IIM, management institutions are eligible, because here well-defined infrastructure or strong track record of supporting startups is must be there, because they have proper infrastructure, they have building, they have land, they have internet facility, they have systems, they have another scientific equipment, they have so many things. The necessary infrastructure for developing the startup, for incubating the startup should be there. When you make an application to the government for register as an incubator, then you have to satisfy the necessary infrastructure conditions. Then only DPIIT approval is mandatory. Only after getting the DPIIT approval, you become the eligible to disburse Seed Fund India scheme grant. Moving further. Now, what is the step if someone want to go for this? Does the incubation center need to complete 3 years of operation to distribute the grants, Manoj sir? No, 3 sir, 2 years. Not 3 years, 2 years. Okay, sir? Startup must submit their application on Startup India portal. If some DPIIT registered startup wants to apply for that seed fund scheme, he has to make online application on startupindia.gov.in, selecting their preferred incubator. Here, when you make the application for the same, make the application for seed fund, then you have to select 3 preferred incubators. It is on your choice, but try to choose the local incubator situated nearby you, because they will prefer you. Because if some startup is operating from Punjab or some startup is operating from Gujarat, then Gujarat incubator center prefer the Gujarat people. Same Punjabi will prefer Punjabi startups. Getting my point? Because the state government has to give also his report card to the central government. What they have done in the startup world, how many grants they have distributed out of this seed fund. Getting my point? So you have to select this preferred incubator very, very carefully. Then when you submit, when you make this application, then DPIIT evaluate this application. How this they evaluate? The chosen incubator evaluates the application based on innovation, feasibility, and market potential. 3 criteria. First one is innovation. The selected incubator checks whether some innovation is there, some improvement is there, some scalability is there, whether this innovation is actually feasible or only in the minds of the promoter, and what are the opportunities in the market, what are the market potential of this particular product and service. After thoroughly evaluating the application, they will decide whether to give this seed fund to the startup or not. Third, if they found this particular startup who has applied for seed fund is perfectly fit for this seed fund, then their applications are approved. Then approved application by the incubator are forwarded to the expert advisory committee. Expert advisory committee, which is constituted by the DPIIT. Then once expert advisory committee approves the proposal, the incubator disburses the approved funding in tranches based on the milestone achieved. I want to give an example here. Suppose whole 20 lakh grant is given to you as a startup seed fund. It is not given at once. It is given in stages. The stages may be in 3, 4, 5 installment, depending upon your milestone achieved. Getting my point? It is not in one installment never. First installment can be of rupees 2 lakh also. Then further 2 lakh, further 2 lakh, further 2 lakh. Getting my point? It is depending upon your milestone achieved. So this is the application and disbursement process which I have discussed with you in brief. Moving further. For incubators, if you want to register as an incubator, same procedure is there. All interested incubator must apply to the DPIIT for recognition and their empanelment under the Seed India Seed Fund scheme. Then once you have registered, you got registered as a government registered incubator center, then government allocates funds to the you. Out of the fund allocated by the government, by the Ministry of DPIIT, you can disperse your startups. Then monitoring and reporting. Incubator are responsible for monitoring. Very important. बिना ध्यान दिए incubator नहीं बांट सकते. Incubator has to take care of that. Has to monitor the progress of funded startups. Okay, and submitting the regular monitoring reports to the DPIT. How the particular startup to whom we have given the first installment or second installment or third installment is progressing. The progress report has to be given by the incubator to the ministry. By milestone means revenue transition milestone. Yes, you can see that. Milestone means at which stage, how many your revenue is earlier, now how much you are generating, whether you start generating profit, whether you start getting clients, whether you are improving products as expected, whether this market is accepting your product. There are lot of milestones you have to achieve. Whether your product is get patented, whether patented is get rejected. So these kind of milestones we have to discuss. Further, then what are the benefits? Benefit of this seed fund. First, seed stage capital. In beginning, like a child, like an infant child, every startup needs some support. When a newborn baby comes to this world, they need very, very good amount of attention from their parents or where they take care. Similarly, when a new startup come to this business world, they require extensive care and support from the government. That's why the government has introduced this seed fund scheme to provide seed stage capital to the startup. Then the scheme is providing structured support. Structured support means the incubator not only provide funds, they will also provide mentorship, industry connections, business support, necessary infrastructure. Then it is further encouraging innovations. Then it is fostering growth of the economy. Now the question, what are the challenges? What are the challenges in this scheme? First thing, there is the most of the Indian government scheme has not get popularized or failed, you can say, only because of this awareness gap. The government has launched so many MSME schemes, so many startup schemes, but the people, the businessmen, particularly the person residing in tier 2, tier 3 cities are not aware or not have a knowledge about this kind of scheme. That's why the Gyaan is creating this kind of awareness by conducting these kind of seminars. So awareness gap should be there. The government wants to create more and more awareness campaign so that the innovative startup founders can know about this seed fund scheme and can take the advantage of the same. Then administrative hurdle. Due to the government and due to the bureaucratic process, as you know that the speed of work is very slow in government department. The file moves very slowly and slowly. Due to this bureaucratic processes, the startup founder get delayed funds. And delayed funds, delayed innovation. Delayed innovations means delayed growth. Getting my point? Then urban-rural divide. Then disparity between these urban startups and rural innovators can also further discourage this kind of scheme. There is no such kind of change required. The pan-India campaign, pan-India awareness campaign is to be run. Then recommendation, what are the recommendation from our side to the government? First, targeted outreach. Conduct more and more workshops, more and seminars, more and more webinars, more and more shows to aware the publics, more and more advertising campaigns to aware the startup founders, to aware the youth about this very handsome and beautiful scheme introduced by our honorable government. Then, streamline processes, simplify evaluation and fund-based allocation to reduce administrative delay. Simplify evaluation. Online evaluation should be there so that the application, the funding process cannot get delayed. Then inclusivity measures. You have to include the masses in it. You cannot say that it is sectoral focus. You can say that we have to develop India in overall manner. When we have to develop India in overall manner, then there must be inclusivity of every sector. So friend, it is a brief about this Startup India Seed Fund. Now in next 10 minutes, I will give you the demo how we can apply for this Seed India Fund scheme. Just with me. Is my PPT visible? My new PPT is visible to all? Yes, please tell me. Any question you want to ask me till now? Before I go to the application process, any question you want to ask from me? Or should I straightforward start how to make the application to this Startup India Seed Fund Scheme? Any question is there? No issue. If there is no question, I am moving further. Startup India Seed Fund Scheme. I am giving you the walkthrough of the application. The first step is navigate to Startup India portal and click on register. Skip this step and navigate to application guidelines guide slide if you already registered as a startup with Startup India and you have a social media login. Click here. Suppose you are already DPIIT registered, you have already have a Startup India login ID and password is there. There is no need to that. But if it is not there, first you have to create the account. Then for creating the account, you have to give your name, email ID, mobile number, and you have to create your password. And then password, a OTP, one-time password has sent to your registered email ID. Put that password here and go further. Mr. Malesh Pilli is asking, our farmer producer company registered as a company working in rural area for farmers development through innovative business. Are these entities eligible under this scheme, sir? Please try to understand her. As Mukul told you in beginning, producer company is a limited company. It is not a startup company. Startup के लिए you must be either a private limited company or registered partnership or LLP. And farm producer company has always registered as a limited company. That's why all farm producer company, however they are working on some innovative idea, cannot eligible for Startup India registration. When they are not eligible for Startup India registration, they are not entitled for these kind of scheme. Malesh ji, hope you will got your answer, sir. Should I move further, my dear friend? Okay. Now, then enter your user ID and password and login. After that, account creation, you have to create account in the different category. You can register as an individual on Startup India website. You can register as a startup. You can register as a mentor, as Mukul told you that I am a register mentor on the website. You can register as a incubator, you can register as a accelerator, you can register as an individual investor. So there are lot of options in which you can create your registration on Startup India portal: individual, startup, mentor, incubator, accelerator, and individual investor. Moving further, then log into your profile icon, create password, create new password, and create the website. Now come to the Startup India scheme. When you go to the website, then you will find a tab where written is Startup India Seed Fund Scheme. Then you have to click on Apply Now. Apply Now. Now, you have to again log in. Same, create an account. Then you have to click on Seed Fund Scheme, Apply Now. Financial Assistance to Startup for Proof of Concept, Prototype Development, Product Trials, Market Entry, and Commercialization. Friends, please note that the first 20 lakh is available only to those startups which have not started generating revenues, because it is for the proof of concept and prototype development. You have not started business commercially. Getting my point? It is for early stage startups. Moving further, what you have to detail. First, you have to give the detail of your representative, your company director name, last name, designation, mobile number, email ID, and then the sample board resolution for applying this seed fund. From here, you have to download the sample PDF for the resolution and the upload. And in the next slide, you have to give the entity detail. You have to give corporation, company incorporation number, registration date, PAN number, startup address, city, etc. And then full address of the startup is given in the entity detail. Then you have to give the startup detail. Here it is asking you certain question. Is it technology startup? What problem you are solving? What are your value proposition for this problem? What are your unique selling point? And what is your target customer segment? You have to reply all these questions, because you see the red mark, red star here. Red star means these fields are mandatory to be given, and you have to describe all these questions. You have to answer all these questions in maximum 1000 characters. And Mohan Kumar is asking, even a single service fee made from the client for service startup will be considered as income and entity goes in eligible for seed fund, sir. Sir, in my opinion, yes, because generally they will consider only those startup for seed fund which has not yet generating any revenue. Even a ₹1 revenue make you uneligible, or they can answer you ask you a query ki why your application will not be rejected. I hope you will got your answer, Mohan Kumar ji. Please write yes or no. Okay. Startup details you have to put here. Then in the next session, you have to give the startup team. What is your team? What are their LinkedIn profile? How many employees you have? And list of the all teams along with the number of full-time employees in each term you have to put here. Then you have to give funding details. How many fundings you have already received? Because there is a condition of 10 lakh I discussed in the earlier presentation. Getting my point? So you have to mention that quantum of funds required, how much funds you have required. The maximum is 20 lakh, but you require only 5 lakh, then fill 5 lakh here. To enter the amount, when you have deployment start date and deployment end date, you can to fit that. Then you have to fill the preferred incubator preference. Here all register incubator details are coming. You have to fill out in the order of preference. Incubator preference number 1, incubator preference number 2, incubator preference number 3. According to their preference, your application is forwarded to this incubator center. They will check, they will evaluate the application as you told you earlier, and then they decide whether to give you the seed fund or not, or how much seed fund is to be given to you. And in last slide, you have to upload the document, and the very important document is that video URL showcasing your product or the business model. Here you have to prepare a proper video showcasing your business model, product or service, and you have to give the video URL, your video link is to be here. Upload any other relevant document which can help us to decide better. If you want to attach some kind of PPT, you want to give some kind of description, if you want to attach some kind of write-up, please attach here and submit that application. And after submitting declaration, you will see the status, application in progress, selected or closed. There are 3 kinds of status is there. Incubator preference is there, and then application is submitted from 16 July 2021 in progress. You can check the status here. Give it kind of application submitted here. With this, thank you so much. Any question, any doubt, any query, any suggestion with regard to today's session, you can ask me or Mukul. Right now, we are here to reply your queries, my dear friend. Now, times is yours. You can ask your all doubt. No matter it is a silly doubt or a perfect doubt, you can ask. Never hesitate in asking, because it is my firm belief that only those people are good learners who never afraid of asking even a silly queries. So please ask anything you want to ask. Otherwise, we will wind the session. Everyone will get the recording of the session and the background material and PPT of all this by tomorrow from the TechScan side. And any question you want to ask. And don't forget to fill the feedback form given you in the beginning by the team TechScan. Or if you want to write anything in the chat box, you can write now in the chat box so that we can know how you rate this session and what kind of suggestion you want to give to for further improving the thing. So we thank you so much for very patiently hearing me. Rajkumar Agarwal ji, as a CA, can we register as a mentor for any innovative product? Yes, sir, you can mentor the things. Mentoring means educating someone, awareing someone, and there is no restriction even from the council side, from the board, ethical standard board, on becoming a mentor in everywhere. So you can become the mentor, in my opinion. Mohan Kumar is asking, sir, my stage had many incubator, including IIT Madras. Okay, sir. My doubt whether DPIIT treats all of them equal in allocating the funds or any preference is given for fund allocation. I will take this as a factor for choosing the incubation app. Very good question asked by our Honorable Mohan Kumar ji. I want to answer this query in such a way. When I am discussing challenges in the seed fund scheme with you, I told you that a bureaucratic process. When there is a bureaucratic system in the any scheme or any department, then you have to take care this thing from things also. That is suggestion from my side, because the IIT Madras, if you're talking, they are supporting only, you can say, technology startup, or they can supporting their students only, and all they are can supporting only the startups in the Madras region. There can be certain kind of partiality should be there to take care of the same. I advise you to give the preference of your area only, so that they some kind of attraction, some kind of profession, some kind of relaxation for you. So my humble advice for that, you can consider while choosing the incubator, because choosing of incubator, perfect incubator, is a very, very tough task. Because suppose you are going to the Punjab Agriculture University, they are mostly they are preferring only the agriculture startup. Similarly, if you are going to some space institute, they are preferring the startup working in the space area. Similarly, if you are go to the you can say the IT startup, so IT institutions are preferring their startups. So similarly, if you are going to some management institution, so they are preferring the fintech startups, edtech startups, commercial startup, NBFC startups, like that. So you have to take care these things also while choosing the incubation center. So I hope, Mohanji, you will got your answer. And after the havoc created by the Byju's, EdTech is considered as a red flag industry by investor. Adding to that, there is no entry level barrier in EdTech industry. How do the DPIT see this industry for grants, sir? I am planning to give BFSI upskilling courses in regional languages of India. How you can go for that? There is no bar on EdTech. Only just a failure of one big startup cannot have any bar on getting the startup. If you are doing, you have a plan, you have a idea to doing something special in edtech space, so you can incorporate your startup as a private limited company or LLP and get themselves as a DPIT register, and definitely you can explore the opportunity of this seed fund. I hope you will got your answer, sir. I hope you will got your answer, sir. Okay, any further query, any further doubts you want to ask from me? I am here to reply your queries. Yes, every participant, Mallesh ji, Mohan ji, Ramaiya ji, and other participant, Mohan Kumar ji, Arvind ji, anyone want to ask any query, they are free to ask. If there is no query there, for tech startup, Matic gives tied to zero grant. Yes, there are so many schemes. Today we have discussed only one scheme. If the grant obtained is 2 lakh only. Yes, up to 10 lakh grant, you can go for the seed fund. I said your central and state government grant amount not more than 10 lakh should be there. If it is more than 10 lakh, then you are ineligible. If you are still got only 2 lakhs from the state government, you can go, you can make application for seed fund grant. Okay, Mohanji? And should anybody ask anything further? Today, Acha combined of all grants should not have received 10 lakh. Yes, sir. Very interactive session today. The participant has asked lot of questions and shown lot of interest in the startups course. As Mukul told you, we have also launched and already uploaded a full 7-day course of this startup. Anyone who want to explore the startup world can go for this course. This is full 7-day course. Or very soon we are planning to launch another 7-day live classes for this startup world. Yes, Rajkumar Agarwal ji is asking tax exemption, sir. There is a separate video, there is a separate class for exemption under section 80 IEC. Very soon we'll bring a video on that. 3-year tax holiday is there. Under section 80 IEC, there are certain conditions, there are certain procedure for making application for the same. As I tell you the process, I have discussed with the process of seed funding. Similarly, there is a different process for making application for a tax exemption under section 80 IEC. Very soon we will bring session on that also. Any further question you want to ask? Yes, my dear friends, I am here to reply your all queries today. If there is no further question, should we wind up? Yes, ma'am. If there is no further question, should we wind up? One last. Please ask Mohanji. Please, Mohanji, please ask. Could you provide slides and recording? Yes, we will provide all the slides and recording, even the background material to you. And Mohan Kumar is asking, imagine we are 3 doctors. Please write the complete query, Mohanji. Mohan. 49 is NRI, rest 51%, 21 Indian, 30 is another Indian. What is the maximum ownership of NRI? Hell, it can be limited up to 49%. Indian promoters and director holding must be at least 51% because it is Startup India schemes. It is only for Indian startups. If NRI holding is more than 51%, then company become a foreign company. Then it is not an Indian startup. Then that is a company held and promoted by the NRI for which the government will never permit it to give any kind of relaxation. We are eligible to seed fund up to 49%. You are eligible. After 49, you are. Whether MSME registration can be done? Where is the question? I think I seen one question on MSME, where it goes, I don't know. Any other question? Should we wind up now? Any other question or should we wind up now? Tell me, should we wind up or anything further is to ask? I hope, ma'am, there is no further query. You can wind up the session now.
Yes, sir. So, everyone, please note, I will share the use the feedback for your experience of the session. It will be help to improve our session. So, thank you, everyone. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Welcome, ma'am.
Shall we wind up?
Yeah.
Hello, sir.
We can wind up.
Yeah, sir. Okay, thank you, sir. Sir, thank you, everyone.